Acting is about lifting above the mundane and the everyday to find what's true. A great example of this is Frances McDormand's Oscar-winning performance in the film Fargo. Come with me as we examine her dialect work as Marge Gunderson and learn about the Brainerd, Minnesota accent where the character hails from, and learn that accent is more than just sound. We'll break down how Minnesota Nice enhances the story, how her dialect compares to a real-life Brainerd speaker, and how she takes what's real and lifts it to find what's true. And along the way, we'll learn 5 key changes you can make to nail the Brainerd, Minnesota accent too. And now are you ready to learn the sounds of central Minnesota and compare Frances to a native Brainerd speaker?
Okay. Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Coen brothers, who directed the film, grew up in Minneapolis and have said that they were drawn to the repressed, restrained, and very nice culture of the Midwest. They label it Minnesota Nice. And while Minnesota Nice isn't technically an accent, it describes the restrained and overly friendly way of communicating that shapes the sound. Think smiling always and your vowels will change. The accent sets the emotional tone for the world of Fargo. Listen to the Coen brothers.
It's called Minnesota Nice. It is very true that it's a very polite culture.
I'm doing really super there, thanks.
Which isn't to say there's no hostility, it's just that if there is, it's being covered by the politeness.
Frances McDormand's Marge Gunderson is the moral compass of the story. And while the repression and the restraint may lead some to deviance and violence, with Marge, it leads her into a place of genuine kindness, of care, earnestness, and a deep ethical center. This is a vocal performance as emotional containment. So how did Frances craft such an inviting and believable character? In our last video, we studied how Bob Odenkirk used his own Chicago dialect to shape Saul Goodman. This time we moved north to Brainerd, central Minnesota, with an actor who adopted an accent to tell the story. Frances McDormand grew up in Illinois, studied acting at Yale, and worked with a dialect coach to develop her sound for Fargo. Her performance uses sound not just to locate her, but to develop character. Now we'll focus on 5 key categorical changes you can make to sound Minnesota. You'll notice that a lot of the changes live in the land of vowels. We'll quickly look at the vowels a, oo, and e, all under the frame of one change. In his book, A Course on Phonetics, Peter Ladefoged explains that accents of English differ more in their use of vowels than of consonants. It's important to understand that vowel shifting began a long time ago. There's a phenomenon in England that began in the 14th century called the Great Vowel Shift, where vowels began to shift. Think of it this way. Many Americans struggle to tell the difference between these 2 words, then and then. Did you hear the way I said it? I said then and then. And that's because the vowels have shifted so much that when you have an a before a nasal, it's become eh. While in certain parts of the Midwest you might hear this vowel even higher, you will still hear it in Minnesota, where you'll hear the a become a. You hear a diphthong or a, a little higher in the mouth. You could hear the difference there.
Well, that passed. Well, that passed.
Do you hear that? That passed. You could hear it. It's a diphthong. It's 2 sounds. So you do hear that that sound is changing. It's similar to what you might have heard in Chicago. Let's listen now to the native Brainerd speaker and compare.
So that.
Did you hear that?
So that.
Let's listen to a few in a row.
How did they establish that?
He capped out on his driving hours.
So perfect. You hear that? Establish, capped. Wow. I want you to notice also that if we play them again right here, they both use their mouth very similarly. The lips are spread and the jaw is dropping kind of like this. So it's like spread lips and the jaw is going up and down a little bit. Do you see that? It's quote unquote Minnesota Nice.
Well, that passed.
So that.
Let's go on to our next vowel. This is the vowel ah in words like lot, got. You're going to hear stop. Words like this, you'll hear that the ah goes a little higher in the mouth and becomes ah. Let's listen up.
Well, he's got his gun on his hip there and got his gun on his hip.
We have a spot for us to go.
Got. Do you hear that? You get all those sounds there. So we have that sound change too. So we have ah becoming ah, or ah becoming ah. We're going to focus on the sound oo. This sound change involves really rounded lips. You're going to notice here the words June, trooper, wound. And I want you to look at both speakers to see the rounded lips.
I guess that's a defensive wound. Where's the state trooper? So we got a trooper, we got a shooting. High-speed pursuit.
No. Oh, Jason just went out there this June.
We have wound, trooper, shooting, June. So it seems to me that Frances is getting it right on with the actual speaker of the accent. Our final sound is the sound E. Listen up in these few words just to notice really quickly. You don't even have to think too hard of it. The sound doesn't change, but the lips go into a smile when they say the sound E. You can see the lips are in a smile. Listen up.
Routine here. Routine here.
He ended up.
So what I'll categorize as change number 2 is the difference between words like lot and cloth, lot and thought, and cot and caught. There is no difference. Those words merge in a Minnesota accent. You have lot and cloth, lot and thought, and cot and caught. Let's check it out.
You got kids? A long time ago.
Feels a lot like Aiken. A lot like. And so now they've brought in all.
You got Arby's all over me. Time to shove off. You got Arby's all over me. Time to shove off.
You remember how Chicagoans did have that sound aw, so they would say lot and cloth. You could really hear it in my Bob Odenkirk video. You don't hear it here. What I'll call rule 3 is the use of R's in this accent. This is a highly rhotic accent. That means you can hear the R, and when you make the R, the sides of the tongue push against the teeth. But what we're going to hear is that the R changes the vowels in front of it.
You got Arby's all over me.
Do you hear that? You got Arby's. You got Arby's. You can hear you have the vowel change on got, and then you have the Arby's. So that R is a really strong sound. Make sure you hit that sound. You can really hear it.
No, I just think I'm gonna barf.
More. Former neighbor.
What I'm going to call rule 4 is the use of diphthongs in the accent. So in this accent, we have one really key diphthong, and that is the sound O. O. So that's O. In what we would call a general American sound, we would have O. I say it more like O. 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 It can vary depending on who you are. But in central Minnesota, they tend to not make a diphthong. They have a monophthong. So it's just O. Let's listen up here.
It's North Dakota thing.
Did you hear that? Dakota, Dakota, Dakota. On the O diphthong, let's listen to Frances McDormand, because what you can really hear is that it's a monophthong, and it's also a great little clip to see her emotional restraint and the kindness hiding the discomfort, but not out of a sense of malignancy or malintent. It's out of a sense of earnestness and kindness and not wanting to hurt the other.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Did you hear that? It's just like an oh. Really just one sound. You don't hear the tongue and the lips traveling to a different position. So we call that a monophthong. Now, let's just listen up to the diphthong A. Because although you could say sometimes it almost sounds like a monophthong, like A, like the Canadian A, like that, what I'm hearing is a real shortening of it, like A, like a real tightness at the end, so that the vowel on A is a diphthong that goes into a really tight, forward-fronted E sound at the end. We could listen to the way they say the word Brainerd to hear it.
From Brainerd.
Brainerd.
From Brainerd.
Brainerd.
Did you hear that on both of their Brainerds? You can hear it. You can hear the sound A, and you also get that strong rhotic R. Our final sound change is where we really hear that Scandinavian influence. One of the castmates, Peter Stormare, was a main actor in the film, and he's from Sweden. So a lot of the cast actually spoke about how central Minnesota was more Sweden than Sweden. Have at it what you will. But that Scandinavian influence we can hear in the accent, and that is in the sing-song nature. The sing-song nature of the accent lives in the land of lilt. When you hear someone talk about the lilt in accent dialect work, what you're getting into is the rhythms, the resonances, and the pitch range. So in Minnesota, you're going to hear a real sing-songy nature. Let's hear it in a few phrases.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it didn't work out.
Oh yeah, at the beginning of the summer.
Isn't it amazing how Frances McDormand really does capture the feeling of the accent? You can hear the pitch variances very similar between the two. But you can also see those lips spread and really see the character and the personality coming into it.
There was the role, there was the combination of me and the character.
When this movie came out in the 90s, it was so memorable. People were repeating the accent, diving into it, being interested. And while it could border on mockery, it didn't in the film. What Frances did, she took the everyday sounds and she heightened them to the stakes of the moment. Great stories drive for a purpose. In the world of Fargo, it's a very violent world. And what Frances does is gives us a moral backbone. Her dialect work helps us see ourselves. We hear something that feels every day, that feels relatable. Listen to what she says here.
But there was also what the audience brought to it. They were ready for somebody like Marge. They were interested in somebody like Marge.
This is what dialect can do when lifted. It's not caricature, but it's character. It's not mimicry, it's meaning. In those final images of Frances in the car with the criminal, we hear that she cannot even fathom what would drive someone over money to do such deeds.
Here you are. And it's a beautiful day.
So while we observed Bob Odenkirk using his own accent to tell a great story, Frances McDormand learns an accent, takes on a new persona to also tell a great story. Do you want to learn more about accent work? Check out Dialect 101. If you want to learn about Saul Goodman's accent, the work of Bob Odenkirk, check out that video, Bob Odenkirk's Accent Breakdown for Chicago. For more content about voice, dialect, and presence, like and subscribe.